Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, and helping us now preview the Patriots hosting the Ravens this weekend is Shalise Manza Young of the Boston Globe. And Shalise, this is a New England Patriots team that after week 4 and losing to the Chiefs, man, they were never going to be good again. They were just going to stink. And then the Patriots, of course, go 10-2 from that point. And well, they're the Patriots once again. What have you taken from the New England this year with the way they've turned this thing around and gone 10-2 in the last 12 games?
Obviously that reports of their demise were greatly exaggerated, to use that phrase. And, there were some things, though, at the beginning of the season that I think were legitimate concerns, and they really did have to right the ship. Let's consider that with one preseason game still to play, they traded not just the cornerstone of the offensive line, they traded a franchise cornerstone in Logan Mankins. And now all of a sudden you go from having arguably the best offensive line coach in the NFL in Dante Scarnecchia. He retired. So now you have a new and pretty unknown offensive line coach, at least to the players certainly, come in Dave DeGuglielmo. You trade away Logan Mankins. The offensive line was a mess, which I think played a big role in Tom Brady not looking the same. Another thing that hurt Brady was Rob Gronkowski was on the field, but he wasn't Gronk just yet, coming back from that torn ACL injury. So the offense, it took them, 4 or 5 weeks to really start getting it together. The defense has been there pretty much all season, but I think, like I said, there were legitimate concerns and there were legitimate things that led to them stumbling out of the blocks and going 2-2 over the first month of the season.
In all honesty, if Gronk is healthy, is there any team left that scares the Patriots at all?
I think that if they do advance to the Super Bowl and Seattle advances to the Super Bowl, Seattle's a team to be reckoned with because I think their defensive line and their front seven is very good. Baltimore's front seven is good as well, and that's going to be a challenge for the Patriots this week. I think the Patriots are better than Baltimore, so that won't, while it's a challenge, I don't think it's going to be as big a deal. But I think Seattle would be a challenge. I think if the Patriots get past Baltimore this week, I think the AFC Championship game might almost be an easier game for them, whether it's Denver or if Indianapolis somehow pulls off an upset. I think that would almost be an easier game for them in the title game than this week against Baltimore.
No real fear from. Again, we're looking ahead to the Super Bowl. Tells you how spoiled we are by the Patriots' greatness. No real fear from Green Bay, even though they were able to get the win in Lambeau.
I feel like if they face the Patriots, if the Patriots face the Packers again, I think that they would beat them. I think that they made some mistakes in that game. The most obvious thing to me, they didn't run the ball. The Packers went into that game as like the 30th or 31st ranked run defense in the NFL. And yeah, you got into a little bit of a hole early, but it's not like at the time your offense was struggling to put 15, 18, 20 points on the board. At the time, your offense was scoring 39, 35, 40 points a game. So it's not like you were struggling to score offensively that just because you got into a bit of a hole, you should have completely abandoned the run against a team where you could run successfully. I think that the Packers' offense is very good, but the Packers' defense is not a really strong defense. I just don't believe in the Packers' defense as much.
Shalise Manza Young of the Boston Globe with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. And here we go, Ravens at Patriots on Saturday, 4:35 kick. And Shalise, Bill Belichick, speaking of the man, how does he get more out of players than anyone else? LeGarrette Blount gets cut from the Steelers. Next thing you know, he's contributing to the home field advantage in the postseason. What with Bill Belichick and the way that he communicates with players?
I think it's just he knows what guys, he figures out what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, and he puts them in position to play to their strengths. And he doesn't put them in positions where, they're going to have to play out of position or they're going to be asked to do something they're not good at. I think that's what it really is. I don't think it's anything more than that. Is he looks at guys and he says, okay, this is what you do best, and he puts you in situations where you get to do those things and hopefully maximize your talent.
Of course, here come the Ravens this week. Pats and Ravens eight times they played in the last 6 seasons. It always seems to be some kind of a tough game. You said you think the Patriots are just a better team than the Ravens, but what do you actually expect from the game? How do you see it playing out?
I think if anything, as a Patriots fan, would worry me, I think it's just how will the Patriots' offensive line hold up. That front seven for the Ravens, it's a very good front seven. Dean Pease is not a guy that's really afraid. Terrell Suggs certainly is not a guy who plays afraid. We know how he feels about Tom Brady, and he's not at all afraid of Tom Brady or anything like that. Actually, he seems like he relishes the opportunities to go against Tom Brady. So I think that would be the one thing that, if, let's say on the second snap of the game or something like that, Suggs comes screaming off the edge, Solder doesn't pick him up, he whacks Brady, Brady loses the ball, and C.J. Mosley picks it up and returns it, and they're in a 7-0 hole within the first 5 minutes of the game. Does that mean they would lose automatically? No. But I think in that sort of situation where you give them the momentum, they've been here before, the key players, with the Ravens, Suggs, Flacco, John Harbaugh and his staff, they've come to Gillette before. They've won at Gillette before in the postseason, which very few other people can say that. So they know what it takes to win here, and it would take something like that. But I think, offensively, the Patriots can do a good job. Defensively, for the Patriots, that's the big thing, is they're such a better defense now than they've been in the postseason the last couple of years. And for as much as the NFL, wants it to be an offensive league and a point-scoring league, in the playoffs, it's still a defensive league. So the fact that the Patriots have the better defense now than they have in recent years, I think really, really, really helps them.
Shalise Manza Young of the Boston Globe on Twitter at Shalise M. Young. And Shalise, offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels is being looked at as a head coaching candidate in the NFL. What's the latest with Josh McDaniels?
Nothing right now. I think it's just sort of in a holding pattern. We did talk to him on a conference call yesterday, and he was asked flat out about the interviews. He didn't deny that they happened. He acknowledged that they happened, but he just sort of downplayed them. He said they went fine, and he said he's now focused on getting a game plan together for the Patriots. He was asked directly if he's withdrawing his name, and he did not say yes or no to that question. But it sounds like for right now that, the possibility remains that Josh McDaniels could be moving on somewhere else. Obviously, I don't think he would finalize something like that until either the Patriots season ended or if they do win the AFC Championship and you have that 1 week of downtime before you would head to Phoenix and you have those extra days. So I think he's just sort of in a holding pattern for right now in terms of anything really official. Yeah,
you mentioned the interviews as he's visited both the Falcons and the 49ers. Is there any chance this is a distraction at all within the Patriots organization right now?
I would say no. I mean, Josh has been through this before. The Patriots have been through this before. Bill Belichick's been through it before. So, no, last year Josh went through this. The Cleveland Browns really wanted Josh, and he interviewed with them multiple times, obviously during the playoffs and things like that, and it didn't really affect the Patriots. And like I said, Bill Belichick knows the drill. Josh wouldn't be going through this if he didn't have Bill's blessing, and we'll see what happens. I think Atlanta certainly makes sense from the fact that you have Thomas Dimitroff down there, and he has a relationship with Josh. And Dimitroff also, it sounds like, is sort of trying to save his own job at this point. So if he can bring in an offensive-minded guy, and they can get, they can get it together down there in Atlanta, it might be a good situation. You're getting a new stadium, good owner in Arthur Blank, I think. So it seems like Josh is looking for a pretty perfect opportunity, and I don't know that any opportunity is perfect, but Atlanta might be a pretty good fit if it came to that.
Ravens at Patriots, 4:35 on Saturday. Come watch the game with us at Granny Stout in downtown Albany. And Shalise Manza Young of the Boston Globe, have fun at the game. Good luck to you. And I have a feeling we might be talking to you as the playoffs continue further.
Probably so, but we'll see what happens on Saturday night. I definitely expect it to be a good game, but like I said, I do think the Patriots will come away with a win.